Councillor Curtin.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I do find it extraordinary that we would want to wait for submitters to tell us what sort of regime we should be running around planting trees. I mean, if we're going to wait for that to happen, we will continue at the glacial pace that we have progressed this issue. We promised ourselves 3 years ago in very earnest discussions and workshops, and we did that 3 years prior to that, and I think we did it 3 years prior to that. We've got glacial progress in planting trees in the region. We've committed ourselves to $80 million of resources for water storage projects, and we had a near parallel scenario with planting trees. We've done nothing, and I find it extraordinary and I think it's disingenuous to respond to submitters, and I take on Councillor Dick's point, respond to submitters with some sort of indication or hope that there is going to be progress in this matter urgently and by tomorrow's meeting. That is just nonsense. It's not going to happen. We will not be making commitments of significant resources to putting trees on the land anytime soon, and I think we should just be clear about that with submitters and say, sorry, we're not going to respond to the urgent need that is out there. We've got other priorities. We do not believe that ratepayers will fund this, and so therefore we're not going to do anything about it, because that's the reality. That's what we're doing. We're doing nothing.
Councillor McGregor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just would like to move an amendment unless the mover and seconder agree to the words after RLS and potential partnerships. Now, the reason why I say that is that this is a bigger problem than we've got.
Hang on. What are you? Are you asking? Are you moving an amendment?
Well, yes, I am.
Or are you asking the mover and seconder to accommodate your?
Can I just make my case? And
well, no. Let's. You've made your case. Mover and seconder, are you happy to?
I'm quite happy to.
With the addition.
And/or potential partner.
And potential partner. Seconder. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. The reason why I propose this is that this is a bigger problem than Hawke's Bay. It's far bigger, and it's hugely challenging. And what I have in mind in terms of potential partnerships are research institutes like Ag Research, Mass University and Sion, and also our neighbouring regional councils who have exactly the same problem. And I believe that we can't really, or we would have far greater chance of making progress on this if we harness the potential input from these potential partners, and indeed a selection of farmers, committed farmers, who would be interested in allowing their properties to be used for trialling of new systems of silvopastoralism.
Yes, I just like to say that I think that this is a hugely important project, and I agree with Councillors Gilbertson and Curtin. And if we look for alternative partners, etc., it'll just go round and round in a circle. So if indeed it has to be a rate issue, otherwise the topsoil is, as Councillor Gilbertson said, going down to the sea. This needs to happen yesterday and with great pace, rather than, is it glacial? Pace.
I'll just take an opportunity to... Councillor...
just a question first. The 200,000 mentioned before, 100,000 this year, 100,000 next, that's for the commercial forestry plantings, isn't it?
That's for Manuka plantings at Tutera Country Park.
For Manuka?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
What about the remainder of plantings at Tongawa?
At Waihapua, they're in the budget as well, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you wish to speak?
Well, I don't think the word immediate in there is appropriate, because it isn't going to be immediate. So I'm a bit reluctant to support it as it stands.
Just a couple of comments from me, and I'll ask Councillor Scott to sum up. The issue here is we can't afford it, and yet we can't afford not to do it. That's the conundrum that we face as a council. These things cost money. The scheme, as it originated, was a cracker. Absolutely. It was a fantastic place to invest the funds and resources of this region within its region to provide the environmental gains / buy-in of our farming community / benefits to our urban populations. Was an absolute cracker. The sad thing is we can't afford it in its current setup, other than putting rates up or constricting perhaps other services elsewhere. There's no magic money tree, unfortunately, on top of the council. I'm going to support this, but albeit reluctantly as well, because we still haven't found a solution. And my suggestion is this particular forum of annual plan is not the place to find that solution. We need to put a bit more energy, vigour as governors, into the process and a solution. Because I do agree with some of the comments that we will be having this conversation at the next annual plan and the next LTP and the next annual plan. It will go on because there is no silver bullet and no easy answer. But I'll reiterate, we can't afford it, and yet we can't afford not to.
Just briefly, I've been interested to hear the comments, Mr. Chairman, but you're exactly right. The scheme as it was developed and put to us was all predicated on carbon returns and the carbon market, and it was a cracker scheme, to use your words. It was a very, very good scheme, but none of us predicted the result of where the carbon market was going to take us, and from going to being a very, very good scheme, it went to one that we just simply couldn't fund without a massive increase in rates. And at the end of the day, if that's what council wants and council instructs staff, well, I guess we can deliver that. But I don't think today's the day where we make that decision. So we're a bit damned if we do and damned if we don't. But I do encourage councillors to attend the committee meeting tomorrow and look at the paper which has been produced, which deals with a lot of the subject matter which we have in front of us today. And maybe we can pick it up from there. But I will support this motion, Mr. Chairman, because I think it's probably the only workable alternative we have in front of us right at this point of time.
Councillor Scott, you wish to sum up?
Chairman, when this scheme was proposed, carbon was at $20 odd a tonne. We were told that we would break even on the project at $15 a tonne. And all our work was done on that. We went out and we consulted on it with a win-win for everybody. An investment that would make money for the ratepayers, the establishment of trees on farm, and an alternative income stream other than pastoral farming for the farmer by retiring that land into forestry. It has been referred to the fact that we're looking at an 80 million investment in the Ruataniwha. Again, we are expecting eventually to make a return on that. And that investment is predicated by the fact that there will be a return on that money. What is being proposed, and has been proposed here today, is simply spending ratepayers' money. It would, if we put a UAGC and put a modest amount in it a year, actually do a 100% increase in rates. That would be a fairly significant increase for the urban ratepayer. It would be less of an increase for some of the rural ratepayers, admittedly. In saying encourage an immediate progress, we have an RLS scheme, we have staff competencies. We should be looking at maximising that to continue to work with farmers to get them to invest on planting on their own property. Because I still think it makes economic sense for the farmers to look at retiring some of that very marginal land. We just have not got the scheme as we originally proposed it of actually funding the planting ourselves. We do have other sources of funding that we can use, and I think it's worth, I accept the seeking of other partnerships of working with people to try and get. I certainly don't think we should be taking a lot of time over continuing neighbour gazing. I think we should be putting pressure on delivery through the RLS, and I think that we should continue trying to seek alternative ways of bringing the scheme about into fruition. So that is why I put that wording, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I'll put that motion in. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Division. All those in favour? Against?
Abstain.
Councillor Douglas? Oh, you voted for? Must have a little short... I'm still getting used to your saying Councillor Douglas, if nothing else. But yeah, an abstention, yeah. I'm sure she did. Right, thank you.